Senior Special Assistant to President Tinubu on sympathy visit to Karumajigi colony. And FCT Police Command launches special operation, arrest 307 suspects.
Glad to have you join us on the 1 p.m. news on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. I am Abdullah Hedjia with the news. First, we'll begin from the Super Eagles story, where we learned that amidst heroic welcome, the Super Eagles touched down at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Tuesday morning, where top government officials received them. Let's get to hear from Ayodeji, who piled this report for us to see.
Yeah, definitely. We know everybody is human. We know how Nigeria are so sad about the game, but we are very, very sad about that. But we don't expect that to come out from our own Nigeria. So, but there's nothing we can do. We just have to take the crisis like that. And then we know we talk to him, so he's getting over that.
With the Cup of Nations, right? But I'm also happy that although we didn't win the Cup of Nations, we came back with the silver. Right? And looking at the records, we last won silver in the Cup of Nations 24 years ago.
And secondly, I make it very clear that whichever coach we are going to employ to manage the Super Eagles must be the coach to manage the Chan Eagles. So by that, I know, by the grace of God, we are going to see some little difference in ensuring that at least there are some home-based players into the senior national team. The only way we can get out of that is by ensuring that we allow the coach of the Super Eagles to manage the Chan Eagles. And very soon we are going to start the qualification for the Chan Eagles, which will take place in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania.
All right, thank you very much for that compilation. And right away, we have in the studio Ayodeji Makinde, who has been with the Super Eagles arrival until this moment. I know, Ayo, you've not rested. You're welcome to the 1 p.m. news.
Thank you very much, Abdullah, for having me.
Well, it's been a wonderful time receiving the silver medalists. What was the mood like? You were there for several hours at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport through Monday till this morning. What was the mood like, or the reception for the Super Eagles?
Well, initially when we got to the airport around 2:30 p.m., it wasn't looking like there was going to be any activity because of a contradictory information that we're having from the camp of the Super Eagles. Initially, they were destined to arrive around 5:30. Then we learned it was going to be 6:30, and then 9:30, and then 1:30 until around 12:13 a.m. on Tuesday when they arrived. Good to know that even as at that time that they arrived, there were still people who stayed back to receive the Super Eagles despite finishing second. There were still people who were even the ones calling for the team to be celebrated, despite not bringing back home the trophy. You can just picture what it would have looked like if they came back home with a trophy. So it was a befitting welcome for them by all standards, considering the time that they returned to celebrate the Super Eagles.
Okay, well, do you have an idea or probably the itinerary of what has been lined up for the Super Eagles, to be celebrated as, those who have brought silver to the country?
Well, unfortunately, most of the things lined up for them had to be rescheduled because of nobody planned for them to finish second. We're all anticipating that they were coming in with a trophy, which would have led to a parade in Lagos and, of course, a parade in Abuja. But due to the circumstance beyond control, they had to finish second. The Lagos parade had to be cancelled. And, of course, the challenge of aviation logistics, which delayed their arrival in Abuja in good time. If they had gotten into Abuja maybe around 4:30, 5:30, Perhaps it would have been beautiful to see them along the airport road driving to town to see people clapping for them and cheering them on. But that still didn't stop the reception from one of the major sponsors at the airport on in the early hours of Tuesday. Of course, the lead sponsor of the Super Eagles also treated them to a breakfast just a few hours ago. And we are still anticipating that perhaps they could be received by the president, but it is not yet confirmed. Also, have that at the back of your mind, we're already entering midweek. Most of them will need to start preparing to go back to their respective clubs, for weekend actions in their respective leagues.
Well, so interesting there. Now, let's go to the general overview of their performance. How would you rate the Super Eagles outing in Cote d'Ivoire?
Well, most Nigerians think they could have done better. Nigerians are still trying to shrug off the disappointment of them not bringing home the trophy. If you'd ask me, yes, I think they did to the best of their capacity. And they got to a level where the tables just had to turn. Many have argued that the Ivorians were smarter, were more determined than the Super Eagles. But we also saw the same hunger in them when they beat Cameroon. We saw the same hunger in them when they beat even the same host country at the group stage. We saw the way they were able to see up Angola and South Africa in the semi-final. But where it mattered the most, and that's always been the challenge. I mean, you look at the performance, we're the most decorated team in the history of Africa Cup of Nations. But if you convert the number of bronze medals and silver medals that we've won, actually we should be miles ahead of Egypt, who have 7 titles. So if you'd ask me, I think we did to the best of our capacity. Could we have done better? Obviously, yes. And that has led to so many questions now being raised about the capacity of the coach of the Super Eagles and, of course, the dedication of the players and the NFF again.
Okay, well, I quickly, from the eye of a journalist who has been on the coverage for the 1 month, William Trust Ekong with the player of the tournament and Stanley Webberley missing out in such individual title. What's your take?
Well, incidentally, we were able to have a close conversation with them in the early hours of today. William Trust Ekong told us that he would easily trade up the player of the tournament to just have a feel of the Africa Cup of Nations, to let you know how disappointed they are that they couldn't lift the trophy. For Stanley Wabali, it's just keeping his nerves. It was a bit diplomatic because he said he wishes to see Francis Uzor return back to goal. I'm not sure many Nigerians want to listen to that at the moment. And of course, he said a lot of credit should go to the defense line in front of him, which really made him perform excellently. He's keeping his fingers crossed. If offers come, he's going to leave the South African League. But if they do not come, without Chippa United, he wouldn't have been in the national team. So he's going back to South Africa, keep his focus and cool to keep playing at the best level.
Well, there's this outburst, especially on the social media, where some Nigerians trolling at Alex Iwobi, trying to blame him for probably our poor outing at the final. Do you think that is justifiable?
Well, it's rather unfortunate that some social media freaks will just look for the slightest opportunity to hit back at you on the platform. I mean, this was someone that was there when we needed to qualify for the 2018 FIFA World Cup squad against Cameroon. I mean, there's so many games that he has single-handedly won for Nigeria. I mean, we don't nail him to a cross because of one bad performance. He would naturally not want to have a bad performance for the Super Eagles. And it's so interesting to know that the Minister of Sports Development has come out in strong terms to condemn it. The captain of the team, talking about Ahmed Musa, has also come out strongly to condemn it with the vice captain. And also they told us that they've spoken to him to just disregard that, focus on his game, and Nigerians will always be there for him and his teammates.
Okay, we're also joining our voices to condemn that act that is not so proper, to blame one player. And Ayo, lastly, before we let you go, we saw the strong spirits and the unifying factor of football during the matches of the Super Eagles, how Nigerians can be united. We saw it vividly in some of these matches. How can we sustain this moving forward as a country?
Nigerians always want more. Nigerians love success. The best way to keep it at that level is to keep giving Nigerians what they want. We're so passionate about football. I mean, you saw so many unfortunate incidents that happened in the course of the Africa Cup of Nations. If Nigeria is not winning in sports, there's going to be that general reaction of displeasure. But if we keep winning or getting to the level where we raise expectation and anticipation, Nigerians will always celebrate. I mean, it's just one brotherhood once it comes to sports. The language is one, sports.
Thank you very much, Ayo. We just have to let you go at this moment to go continue with the reception, which in different folds for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Thank you for sharing your insight with us on the 1 p.m. news on NT Channel 5 Abuja.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, moving forward, following a sad incident that occurred in the camp of the persons with disabilities in Karamajigi in the Federal Capital Territory, the federal government has taken a step to sympathize with the people. Ruth Aguero reports that Senior Special Assistant to President Tinubu on Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation, Delubulus Yakobo, visited the community.
A bleak day for persons with disabilities. Karon Majigi camp in the Federal Capital Territory, where some of their makeshift houses gutted by fire. Ibrahim Taliba, who is a resident in the camp, says he escaped being a victim by the whiskers.
One woman, she cooked something there, she drove it, she went out before you come back, so we hear shout everywhere, fire is catching everywhere. Like, if you see campfire, we have in this area, but now only go, we thank Almighty God.
An incident that attracted the sympathy of the federal government. And here, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Delu Bulus Yakubu, has come to sympathize with the people with a stop at the Emir of the Sebo Palace. The Emir expressed appreciation to the federal government for remembering them at this critical moment in their despair. To ameliorate their suffering, a token of cash gifts was presented.
Calling for Mr. President has why he recently launched a federal housing scheme so that he can consider a quarter in line with the Disability Act.
I want to use this opportunity to plead with Nigerians to be patient with the current situation in our country. The government is making a serious effort. I wish to sympathize with the victim and the entire member of this community.
With this visit, residents of the camp are hopeful for a better future, irrespective of their present state. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NT News.
Commissioner of Police FCT Beneth Igwe has declared that it will not be business as usual again in the nation's capital with criminals. He stated this while parading 307 suspects arrested in a raid operation between Sunday night and Monday morning. Onoti Yakubu reports.
The special operation is codenamed Velvet. Commissioner of Police Beneth Igwe personally led the tactical teams of the command in the raid operation. For starters, a marked black spot, Gidandembe, along Dede Zuba axis, was the target, and these 307 suspects were arrested at night.
These are codeine. You can see, there's no amount of drug that you can see them. That is not here. We are out for them, we have the capacity. The police has the capacity to stop all of them. That's why I'm warning those they should take dressing today. Because we are out and we are out.
CP Beneth Igwe disclosed that during the search, one English pistol with 15 rounds of 9mm ammunition was recovered from one Ibrahim Tukur who claimed to be a DSS personnel. Other exhibits such as motorcycles, wraps of marijuana, codeine, illicit substances and valuables reasonably suspected to have been stolen from residents were equally recovered.
I want to use this medium to warn those people that illegally, because no person gave you any license, to operate, whether you call it Gidandambe or Gidandrama, you better start now because you cannot remain in FCT. We are going to ensure we are cleansed from here. We are taking all of them to court so that they will face the law.
While the suspects are undergoing profiling and screening, the Commissioner of Police hinted that the Operation Velvet will curb all forms of criminality and other crimes in the territory. Onoto Yakubu, NTA News.
Prevention is said to be cost-effective most times. This is what informed the inauguration of a local emergency management committee as the Federal Capital Territory Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, held its dry season sensitization campaign at the Kwale Area Council. Charity Zaka brings us details.
In the series of wide sensitization and stakeholders engagement to mitigate hazard and dangers associated with the dry season, the Kwale Area Council benefited from the Enlightenment Program on ways to be proactive on issues or happenings this dry season. This was at inauguration of a local emergency management committee to assist in the management of any incident of outbreak of disaster in Kwale Area Council. Director of Forecasting, Response and Mitigation, FCT Emergency Management Agency, Florence Wenegame reminded the people that preventive measures should be taken seriously.
We don't want to believe about disasters happening before we swing into action. Prevention is better than cure. And that is why we talk about disaster risk reduction, DRR. With the local emergency management committee put in place, you can trust that they are going to make sure they put mitigative measures in place. The preventable ones will be prevented. Those that cannot be prevented, they will put good mitigative measures in place to make sure that when it happens, the impact will be reduced on members of the communities.
Chairman Kwale Area Council and Ladichia pledged to motivate the newly inaugurated committee to meet up with necessary precautionary measures during the dry season.
We are going to complement as a council to support the FCT Emergency Committee to see that this job is being achieved for the people of Kwale Area Council. Whatever we are doing is not a waste, it's for our people. So we must complement to support them.
The dry season sensitization campaign is aimed at safeguarding the lives and properties in the Federal Capital Territory. Charity Zaka, NTA News.
Since its invention more than a century ago, radio as a means of communication has continued to live up to its glory, providing powerful impact upon news, drama and music, and sports. Ramatu Abdullahi, this report examines the unique value of the radio as the World Radio Day is celebrated.
On behalf of the news editor, Helen Ijaja, and the production team, my name is Okimuti Iguriase, saying keep listening to Capital FM.
According to UNESCO, about 44,000 radio stations broadcast to approximately 5 billion people, representing 70% of the world's population. From the local transistor radio used many years ago to the rise of internet-based streaming platforms and podcasts, radio remains the medium to reach the widest audience, imbibing new technological forms and devices to stay relevant.
I'm a lover of radio programs, so most of the times I listen to news program.
Radio, even on your phone, you can have a radio set and you know what is happening. You can be going on the road in the car, you know what is happening. You can be in the market, you know what is happening.
13th February is proclaimed by UNESCO to commemorate World Radio Day and to encourage access to information through radio, including community radio. Bukola Towori, the General Manager Capital FM 92.9, is a radio personality who has risen through various positions to get to her present post. She said, radio is an intimate medium that speaks to individual.
It's a one-on-one contact. So the opportunity to be able to speak directly to one person at a time, it's quite different from what you feel when you feel that you're talking to a mass audience. So that one-on-one contact is a tool for serious persuasion.
With their microphones on set and creative ideas running through their heads, radio presenters inspire and touch countless lives through talk shows, news, sports, and entertainment programs.
They wait for your husband make it come back.
They can't go hospital. They say the woman they 2 months pregnant too.
One of the unique features of radio personnel is that you get to know them through their voices without actually knowing them physically.
And it feels good that I can speak somewhere and someone will say, I know that voice. Where do I know that voice from? That's the sweet thing about being on radio. I love it so much.
The theme of this year's World Radio Day is radio a century informing, entertaining, and educating. Ramatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Thank you, Ramatu. The Gorky Chiefdom has expanded its leadership scope to accommodate the complex and diverse inhabitants of the community, with 2 individuals enlisted in the chiefdom's cabinet. The Sapi Usman Ngakubi says this was born out of the need to delegate responsibilities for ease of managing security and peaceful coexistence in the local area. Our correspondent reports.
The people of Chawi in Kaduna State were honored with the recognition of one of their own, Mafi Waziri Ntaleka, who was crowned the Wakil in Chawi of the Gorky Chiefdom, while Anthony Saleh is now the Sarkim Baik in Gorky, taking over the title following the demise of his father. The 2 individuals, the Sape says, were found worthy as responsible community leaders who will represent their people in the Gorky Chiefdom affairs.
With the security challenges here and there, it had necessitated us to have a leader who will be monitoring, seeing the activities of his community, by extension with other neighbors, so that we'll be able to get an impact, so that security aspect is being addressed.
While inaugurating the 2 newly installed chiefs, according to traditional rites, the Sapi enjoins them to hold the position in trust for their people and the Gorky Chiefdom, saying patience and justice are necessary ingredients for purposeful and good leadership.
Our prayer now is that we want them to work with us here, so that the aim and objective of managing ourselves within the chiefdom, the chiefdom is one of the complex places you can think of in Nigeria. We have to make sure that I get some lieutenant who will be supporting me, supporting us, so that we'll be able to manage this chiefdom.
The traditional ruler advised the newly council members to ensure.
Now, talking religion, to fashion a path in fostering a deeper connection with God and to give directions to Christian women to impact the society with God is what informed a 3-day annual convention of a Covenant Fellowship Gorky District Church Council. Charity Zakah was at the Mitu Waru Ward, a hope for the convention, which climaxed with Thanksgiving.
It was a large turnout of women at the Gorky District Church Council Equa Women Fellowship 2024 Annual Convention as they partake in the event for spiritual upliftment. Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Bitrujisalo, seized the occasion to admonish women to remain steadfast in the faith while also providing home support for their spouses.
I'm here to encourage them, because this is what we've been expecting from women, and by so doing, I urge them as a Christian, teachers of the Bible, and what they learn, they should be adhering.
We are here to serve the Lord, we are here to praise Him, we are here to have an encounter with Him. And as we all know, that is the only thing that is keeping us going as a nation.
Chairman Abuja Municipal Area Council, Christopher Zakame Kalangu, said a program of this nature should not only be sustained but supported as it affords women the opportunity to interface with one another.
They spent 3 days to be here. The objective of this conference is to enlighten the women, to educate the women on how to move forward, both at home and the society at large.
At least we can encourage our women to hold our children in the way that they should grow in the fear of the Lord, love our husbands and respect them. The most important thing is loving God.
Guest preacher Reverend Lucas Zaga is hopeful that the convention will spur the women to more spiritual discipline.
Though its benefits goes beyond the bounds or the faults of the women, meaning that everyone is a beneficiary.
Our heart desire that they will take the message back home, what they have learned here, so that it shall be well with us and will continue to be what God desires us to be.
Song ministrations came in turns from the Women Fellowship and the men as they asked God for more providence.
Thank you, Charity. These are the stories at this time. But just before we go, a recap of some top stories. We told you that federal government has visited the camp of persons with disabilities in Karamajigi to sympathize with them. And FCT Emergency Management Agency has taken the dry season sensitization campaign to Kwale Area Council. Thank you for your time. Do join us at 7 for more updates and news stories. I am Abdullah Kachia. Good afternoon.